let me ask you from then till now, your personal growth. How have you changed over the years, especially from when you first entered high school and now as a senior?
I can only say, especially since I had to turn my phone off beforehand, I got a whole resolution I've been keeping check with that I update every month for this year as my senior year. How do I look into this? Starting from freshman year, I didn't have any like initial goals. I just walked in there, thinking it was gonna be some My Little Pony, High School Musical, Disney little thing. I walked in, I saw the front gate, I get my book bag with my bad dressed neon clothing. I was probably wearing blue and short red shorts. Walked in there looking like a traffic light, and I had a great smile the entire time. Even whenever I was at my bus stop, they said, "You was always so happy." He's like, "Yeah, there's nothing to be sad about it." He's like, "You just need heartbroken." What? Don't even worry about it. You too innocent. So I just continued working on it. It was a playful joke. I knew if that were to happen, that might have changed me, but it was something I had to pay attention till now. So I just kept doing. That was the first year until that thing happened. Then, especially since like math got harder because I didn't understand this teacher more. Math got harder. That was bad. But again, it wasn't nothing I couldn't handle. I still have my history class for 7th period, which was my favorite. I walked through then. Even then, she said I would get more talkative, like from beginning to the end, because I sat in the back. But then in the middle of it, I just elected myself as class leader, and then that became the normal for the class. That was freshman year. I was fine. Sophomore year is when mom went on deployment, so I had to act more grown.
That was. I think that was the first time that I was really on your neck all the time about your behavior in class and stuff like that.
Yeah, which was his own thing. That was sophomore year. It hated little mine, and the visits were like still like consistent because I was at beginning stages before I started getting it more broken and rocky. Junior year, I noted. Okay, so this is complicated. I had a 7th period class as a junior. First off, even if I go to high school right now, if I ask most of my friends, I could go Instagram Live, and if I ask most of my friends, they say I don't look very much older since sophomore year, maybe a little junior. I still look pretty young.
Okay.
Which is something I'm working on. Up to junior year, in my 7th period, I had a lot of people who would clown and joke on me. And it was really up to the point where I would like kind of get a little upset and depressed when I had to go to that class. I was like, I didn't go through this again. It was funny, so it was bearable because I could always make a small laugh out of it or something. And then they'd be like, "Bro, why you always laughing when we joke on you, right?" I said, "No, I'm just find it funny. No reason." I didn't think about it much until there was a certain day we were supposed to write an essay. And if it was about us, it was supposed to be serious. And if not, it was supposed to be like about something else, worth like a paragraph. I had a lot of stuff going on. I didn't do that assignment. I really just left it blank, but I knew it was a presentation thing. So we had to go up there. I figured, hey, if the less time I go up there, I can watch all these people, and I can make something up on the spot. So as I'm listening to everybody else go up there, I'm thinking in my head what I'm going to say. But then I was really like, it really had to sit down, and I thought about it. That's why I've been taking long showers in the morning. I think about it, and I say, you know what? They're clowning, yes, and they got a lot of jokes. But I can't say that none of them have worked, especially because in sophomore year, I was in a class bigger than mine. I was in a junior class. So when I would walk around and I would get clowned, normally I would take whatever they say to heart, but then run a little to the end of it, I would take more of it as a lesson. And I did more of that during junior year. When I went into junior and I was getting clowned, I would listen to that and I say, you know what? He's probably right. I should work on that. Walk in there. I had like my favorite black jacket that I always wore. Every time I wore that, I would go into class and always people be like, they wouldn't say it to my face, which was arguably worse, but they would always like say or mutter some disgusting noise, like they would smell it, and I just stopped wearing that jacket altogether, or I just started washing it more often.
What was wrong with the jacket?
I guess it stank because I never noticed it. I would smell it, and they would thought it was fine. No, I walked in the class, sure enough, people would clown me. I said, I'm not gonna lie, take that off. It smelled like a leopard's neck. I throw that away and say, yeah, sure enough, it did stink. Towards the end of the year, and I thought, you know what? I know I'm gonna say for my speech. A whole bunch of people, especially my table, because I always thought they were weird how they would encourage me sometimes, but then most of the time they'd be joking on me. So when I told them I didn't have my thing ready, and they said, "Yeah, figure something out." He patted me on the back and he pushed me up there, and I said, "You know what? I brought my laptop. He was trying to help me out. No, don't bring that." I said, "It's to be dramatic. Let me go." I walked over, I put my laptop down, and I said, "I'm not gonna lie to all of you," and I closed that laptop loud. I ain't write nothing, so I'm just going yap. and I started talking, and I'm sure this is not word by word, but I'm trying to say what I said. I have noticed and I have listened. Most of the time, I figured it was jokes, and I'm pretty sure as of now, yes, it was jokes, but it was more of joking and a little humiliation with the criticism. Not that any of it was wrong. I can admit, there are some times I do not smell good. There are some times I need to wash my hair more, and there are some times I'm not funny. There are some times I need to sit down. There are some times I need to stop trying to make jokes or stop trying to show off and look like such a great kid. I'm going to take note of that. Starting, this was a little during October, during Thanksgiving. This is the year, not this year, starting from this point on, for the rest of the year, hopefully my life, I'm going to take every little bit of criticism y'all gave me, and I'm not just going to laugh it off. I'm not going to ignore it. I'm not going to squeal and whine about it to be funny, the little joking brat that I was. I'm going to take all of that and I'm going to take it into a lesson. I'm going to learn every little bit of criticism and joke y'all give me, and I'm going to turn that into something. Sure enough, you said I don't smell. I guarantee you the next day, I'm going to smell better. You said my clothes is washed. Sure enough, I'm not going to lie. I wasn't thinking the fit either. I'm going to come in the next day looking clean. I don't got no chains. I'm not going to lie. I'm broke. I don't got a job yet. I don't know how to drive yet. I'm studying. I'm not very good academically. So I'm going to start focusing, and I'm going to try to joke less. From now on, up to whenever, and hopefully up to the point I close my eyes and I die, I'm going to do my best to take every harsh, hurtful, let it be funny or not, everything you said, I'm going to take that into the deepest manner, and that's going to be my life goal. Because eventually, I want to do something in the future, and I want to prove every single one of y'all wrong. Up to the point y'all can look back at it and say, I used to make fun of that kid, so it can be so I can make any of y'all proud. Whether we're close friends, whether you admit it or not. And I really, really hope later on this will be a good thing y'all think back at. That's it. I remember when you was a little annoying little brat that would just walk around forcing jokes.
That's crazy that, because you don't know my childhood story, but that's crazy that would be the premise of why I left for college and went to the military and stuff, just to prove. For me, it wasn't to prove to anybody else. It was for my mom and dad. I wanted them to finally be proud of something that I did. Not that they weren't, but I remember when I was getting in trouble a lot, my dad was like, man, everybody talking about their sons. I want to talk about my sons too, but you always getting in trouble. What am I supposed to say? You in suspension again? You on out of school suspension again? What am I supposed to say when everybody's bragging about their sons and I can't brag about mine? So my thing was, I wanted to do something that mom and dad would be proud of. And so that's why I went off to college to play ball and then went off to the military. So to hear you say that now, even at your early age, is something that's rooted in my DNA, and it just bled off into you, where people may try to joke on you for the same reasons that they was joking on me, and then have a dedicated thing in us to prove everybody, no, what you think I am is not what I am. This is just the part that you see. And so I'm going to show you what I'm capable of. You'll just have to see about it later, which ended up being, my because then when I came back to visit my friends and people who are my friends who knew me, they was like, wait, where you been all this time? What you been doing with yourself? We thought you would be in jail and all other kind of surprise. No. Where you guys going? We got to go to work. What about you? Nah, good on that. I'm gonna do my own thing. And I just leave, go back to the house. All those people who had something to say before. Yeah, anybody? Why? So I think that's in your DNA too, just to want to, because the rest of your family and mommy's family, we already know what you're capable of. We've seen it, and we know what great things you are going to do. But everybody else who's picking now, by the time they look back and think about it again, you'll be off skyrocketed someplace where they can't even reach you no more, which is good, which is good for you. You definitely deserve it.
Which was a thing I looked at when I was during my speech. I did point out that there are a lot of people in this class, and whether I like you or not, there are a lot of things y'all do better than me. I pointed at the class clown. Granted, he was the funniest in that class, but the teacher didn't like him. And I said, I guarantee you, I cannot be as funny as he is. Listen, even as strong as he is with his big self, I would point at another person. I can't be like as smooth as he is. I can't dress as well as he does. I point at one person, the person who clowned me the most in the class. I can't tell jokes as good as this man. As good as Kevin Hart over here, I can't do that. He laughed, and I continued on. Yeah, there's a lot of people, and I want to have my own thing, because I want to I really do want to do something, and I don't know what I want to do, but I know I want it to be like media based, just so all y'all can see my face and y'all can remember what I used to be, and y'all can finally say that it looks like, even for a little bit, it looks like I grew up. And when I took a step back, signaling I finished, no one had nothing to say. They all looked at each other for a bit. They stopped. The class clown had to do it. The person who was clowning on me, everyone in the class. I'm not gonna lie. They heard everybody but one person because it was missing. That had to be the best in the entire class. So I walked back over. I took my seat over here, throw me back over forward. I said, I knew you could do so with your life. He said back and forth, joking around. And I said, I'm not gonna lie, I apologize for all the criticism. And then he looked over the class, he said a joke, but it worked, right? They said, such your big. It was a lot of jokes, but yeah. It was
well received.
Yes. Even as of now, like a lot of them, especially like the people who like used to make me feel bad, they're like good friends of me now. One of them I send Instagram reels to. I don't even know if he respond to them, but I talk to him every now and then. Bump me whenever we walk in. He'll just stand in front of me because he's like a big guy. So I'll bump into him. I said, yo, move. Yeah, we'll dap each other up. That'll be its own little funny thing. The class clown who didn't like me the most, I walked past him like a week ago, and he said, "Oh, Parris," and I said, "Oh yeah, good to see you, man. Good to see you." It was all a good thing.
Okay, all right. I have a question that's probably not on here, but I want you to talk about your mindset. This was because we've talked to Tati in the podcast about mom being gone. I want to know how you dealt with that, with her being gone, and how close you and her were before she left, and the things that was going on in your life, like when you had to, because mom was gone then, when you wrote me that letter and you was afraid to give it to me that had all the instructions on the things that that you felt that I was doing wrong as a father. How'd you come up with that to write it and then be brave enough, I guess, to then give it to me, to ask me to either change or can we discuss it?
Funny enough,
because Tati followed behind you because you were brave enough to do that. But I want to know your mindset during that time that mom was deployed, and then you decided, you know what, I'm going to write this stuff down and I'm going to give it to dad and ask dad to read it and to either change it or to at least read it.
Funny enough, it was mostly off of your idea. Like, mom was gone, so I'm sure you're a little upset with everything. If you have some stuff, especially if you guys want to talk about it, you should just write it down on a list. And I thought about it, and I said, you know what? There are some times, like, especially because we used to be, like, really, like, therapeutic during those times.
Mm-hmm.
When we had the chess board and everything. Or when we would randomly just go to the park. One time we went to the park, and I thought, you know what? There are some things I wish that could happen less, or we could talk about more. So, from, like, a little after I talked about my list to mom, and we talked about it, is when I started writing the list for you. And I don't really think about it much because, of course, I don't have many, arguments against you or whatever. Mm-hmm. But when there would be times where you would make me upset, or I would think about the stuff, I would go up to my room and I'd be upset looking at the ceiling, and I'd be like, you know what, I should probably put this for later. And I would just put that in the list. And I couldn't really stretch it out best I could to make it a worthwhile conversation so you can actually sit down and care about it long enough. But it was important, and it was like maybe 8 things that I really just like stretched out best I could. Okay. So once I got to that point, I called mom to talk about it. And I said, hey, if you really want him to listen, because me and your father will listen to everything you say. If there's something upsetting you that we could be doing better, of course, we would want to hear it. And I said, okay. So with that, I stilled myself a bit because it was the first.
So did you have a letter from mom too?
Or? I did, because you told me this. You told me to like set one if I thought about it. And didn't have much for her because, well, I had more on that than you. But most of everything for mom, it was out of her control. So, of course, I couldn't put too much on that.
Okay.
Whenever I had for you, I called her, like, the moment before I did it. And I said, I'm worried he's going to get upset or something. Not that he got mad. I just don't want to make him sad. And I said, well, he has to learn about it if you don't want things better. What do they say? Closed mouths don't get fed? Mm-hmm. Something like that. So I said, okay, I'm going to do it. I hanged up. I procrastinated a bit on video games. Watched a little bit of Maze with a Gumball just to brighten myself up before I head downstairs. And I heard you was in the kitchen, so I thought now was a good time to do it. Went downstairs. I sat you on the table. I went through the list, and I can say now I was teary-eyed during it because I really don't want you to really be upset about it. Mm-hmm. Even I can't even say you took it in a trauma because you looked indifferent during it, probably just because you didn't want jump to emotions too quick in front of me. So you said, all right, I heard you. Can you go upstairs for a bit? I went upstairs and I was too nervous to come back downstairs. I even asked Tati to bring me a plate.
I think she did bring you dinner. You
She
never came
did.
back downstairs. I talked to your mother about it right away, and mom said she gave me some advice, but she said that's a son to a father's and so because that's a new realm for us. I called my dad and I sat down on the phone with him and I talked to him about my behavior in school or just growing up before I left home and how he dealt with me in certain situations. And so in those situations, how he handled me, I had to reevaluate. So when I read him through the list, he was asking me like why I did some of those things. And so I was giving him the reason, and Dad debunked some things and he also enforced some because listen, not that I don't care, but if you don't have an active father in your life, you really don't know how to be a father. You can say I'm gonna do everything opposite from what my dad did or whatever male figures you have, and I believe it works for females as well as mothers. You just decide, okay, I'm gonna do the opposite or I'm gonna do this, that, and the other thing, but you don't have nobody taught you how to be a father. So you can't be something that you're not. Just because you have a baby doesn't make you a father. And how you raise the child and how his outlook on the world or how your children's outlook on the world is how you raise them. So we had a long conversation about and that's why I started changing some of the stuff that I changed. Like for instance, I think before the letter, we had an argument about your behavior and the stuff that you was doing in school. And so I was just like, I don't know why you were doing it. And so I remember when I started acting up at school, my pops was like, okay, since you think you're grown, then we're going to treat you like you're grown. So I went that route with you. Remember that I said, okay, since you want to do your own stuff, you don't want to listen, we're going to put on the boxing gloves. That's because that's what my dad did to me. You, I don't know how you was able to do it, called your mother and you called grandpa. Grandpa called and got on my tail. Why am I doing that? Because that's what you did to me. So I realized if Parris is getting to that stage now, I need to deal with him the same way you dealt with me. But talking to my grandfather, talking to my dad, your grandfather, he made me see that you're not the same child I was that he raised. You're totally different. You're more well-mannered, well-behaved. You take lessons and you listen well. So why am I going to the extreme? I was a bad kid. So my dad had to use extreme measures with me. And so then that's why I came in and said, don't worry about it. But Tiki Man, why is it that you're doing all of this stuff? And that's when you broke down. You said you miss mom. And I realized had I gone the route that I was thinking about going as your father and thinking this is what you need, you're just acting up and you want to be boss hog, then I'm just going to show you that that's not the case. My grandfather was like, my dad was like, but he's not that kid that you were. So that means there's something else going on. I don't know what else is going on. We all miss mom, but you miss mom deep down somewhere where it was hurting you and now you were acting out. So then once I was able to realize that's what was happening with you, I was able to start controlling some of the other stuff. All right, he's not this kid. So let me give him his chores and kind of just as long as he knows the chores need to be done by a certain time. That's what I'm expecting. And I'll leave him to do it. All right, I asked him to do this. Let me just leave. And I started giving you more of a rope so that you can move and feel more independent as opposed to gripping on you tighter. And a lot of that might have just been me missing your mother also. And I'm trying to control what I can control, which is just you and the kids now. But I always thought that was very, very mature of you, even at that time, to say, hey, Dad, this is how I'm feeling. I don't know if it's legit or not, but is there some things we could talk about, some things we can do different? And I also felt good because my dad's like, the fact that you was able to come to me means that I did enough in our relationship for you to feel free to be able to say that. I mean, being scared and worried is a thing, but that you were able to go through it and do it was enough for me to be able to say, Dad, because for me, it's me going to my dad and say, hey, Dad, I'm doing it. I'm raising him good because he feels like he could talk to me the same way I'm able to talk to Dad. So that's very important. And growing up, I realized a lot of my male black friends, they didn't have that. A lot of my male black friends talk to my dad. Some of my older male friends come to my dad because they didn't have that relationship with their fathers. So when I look at you and you're able to double back down with stuff with me, I realize it's because I raised you the way my dad raised me, which is like a testimony to who my dad was, not just for me, but for a lot of people who didn't have fathers. Yeah, that was definitely, mom being gone was definitely some trying times for all of us. And then felt like you started telling me more, like when we was at Daytona Beach or we went for that first long walk for our workout session. We was talking about the stuff out there.
Mm-hmm.
Those were because every time it feels like I get or you give me credit for the type of father I am, I'm always wanting you to know that that's because of the type of father I have. Because when you get ready to have kids of your own, I want you to be your own man and your own whatchamacallit. But when you feel like you're up against the wall and trying to be a father, that you'll have enough trust to tell me that, hey man, I'm trying to do this, but I'm not sure how, and it would be because I raised you to feel open enough to tell me whatever the secrets are or whatever is paining you, and that I can help because I use my dad for you all the way up until now. I don't think there will ever be a moment where I don't ask my dad, hey, am I raising the kids right? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Because my dad did a good job. So if my dad did a good job, and even when he did a bad job, it was a good job, why not keep getting information from the source? And so that's how I try to raise you. I try to raise you as close to the way my dad raised me, outside of like all the mental stuff that I have going on. That's always my foundation. I have a lot of stuff that's always in my mind and stuff that's always bothering me. And when it comes to you and your sister, how would dad handle the situation? I could just call my dad, Pops, this is what the kids got going on. I'm trying to figure out what to do or how to deal with it as the husband. Dad gives me some of his and then he'll go back and tell me stories of when I've done stuff or my sisters have done stuff and how he handled it. And then I can use that information and come back and deal with you guys better, as opposed to just messing it up altogether, which is sometimes something that I can do. But I have a good relationship with both my mom and my dad where I can call them and be like, hey, I'm trying to. Because when mom was gone, the other thing that was really scary was the emotional part that the female gives the kids. That's kind of gone because she's gone. So I'm supposed to be the disciplinarian and make sure y'all doing what y'all supposed to be doing. Then mom comes and cuddles y'all and makes y'all feel good. With mom being gone, I don't know how to discipline y'all, but also make y'all feel happy. How to make sure y'all doing the stuff I asked you to do and when to give y'all leeway and just be yourselves. That's hard for somebody that's been married and has the female to do that. So I was trying to juggle that stuff all during that time, and it was very difficult.
Again, I like to say I thought you did good because during that time you were like a lot more open and stuff, especially before mom left. First off, that was one of the main reasons why I did the speech I did, because I figured I had to, since I lost my emotional attachment, I can't be so bratty anymore. I gotta actually like grow up and try to act my age, which is why I started acting the way I did. There was the other thing of you really tried to do like more of the stuff with us. Because growing up, there was always a thing of whenever mom would come around, you weren't very emotional. You were very like closed off at the time. But then when mom left, you were like way open. You took us out more, even if it was just the three of us, which I initially thought was weird. When it was just the three of us, we started going out. We started eating pizza. When my crush walked by, you gave me a credit card just so I could look smooth. I didn't understand that until the day after, by the way. There was a time of whenever me and Tati had something to watch, we thought about it and we thought, this might be weird. It's okay, so let's like go back to delicately. Go out downstairs and we just threw on some anime we wanted to try to put you on. I forgot what it was. Maybe you were sick and it might have been My Hero or something. I remember we watched 2 seasons of My Hero when you were sick. I remember first starting off just as a new show for us all to start watching. You put us on the real Teen Titans just because it was on Play. I'm pretty sure we ain't even finished that, by the way.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, it was on Plex. It's probably still.
Because we watched like 8 episodes, but they were all like 48 minutes. So after that 1 week, we just stopped. So that had its own thing that happened. You really were just like more open. You try to get along with us more. I have a line of TikToks where you still like just jumped up and joined us. I still remember one time we started watching Attack on Titan with you, and you really was like, it was a really different light to hear you so like open, not only watching stuff with us, but also like really getting emotionally invested, because you got genuinely upset with me and Tati because the main character kept getting whitewashed every time he got in there.
Yeah. I don't think it's black or white. I don't think they understand how much of an influence they have on their kids' life in general, because I think for good reason that the women get all the credit. And so as men, like you said, when you were, one of the things y'all was saying is like, oh, you always like shooing us away from mom or whatever the case may be. I never, not once, and your sister said it in her podcast, I never once thought of it like that. I watched my mom come home from work before my dad. She would come home, as soon as she gets in the house, she's laughing and joking with us, playful. My dad comes home and he's, tired and whatnot. And so he would say something to us and then he would go in the back room, take a shower. When he comes back out of the shower, it's like he's a different person. So he's laughing and joking and playing around and how was your day and wrestling with me and Preston on the floor, sitting with the girls, lovey-dovey with them. And I remember my mom, I think she said it once, but it clicked in my head. She's like, when dad comes home from work, he's trying to relax. And then he'll go, because mom she works with kids all day. So when she comes home, it's fine. When I'm watching your mother and she's working school stuff all the time, y'all were babies. So when she comes in and y'all rush her, she's trying to use her last little bit of energy to play with you guys and stuff like that. So I took a page from my parents' book. All right, when mommy comes home, we say, hey, mom, we happy to see her, give her a hug and kiss. Guys, sit back down on the couch, let mom go in, drop her briefcase, take off her bra, take a shower. Now when she comes back from taking a shower and putting all her stuff down, now she's able to be back in her mother mode where she's playing with the babies and changing diapers and all that kind of stuff. So I've always kept that in my head. It wasn't until y'all wrote the notes that y'all felt like I was just trying to keep mommy away. I never meant for it to be like that. That was just me trying to protect mom's last little bit of energy so that y'all wouldn't get like the residue. She's frustrated at work. She's tired. She's, hey babies, hugs and kisses. And then she just leaves y'all, which is what she's going to do. So if I let y'all just speak to her and let her go do her stuff, when she comes back, she's different. And I think as males, I don't think we know how those things affect the kids. Like, unless y'all said it, I would have never known that that's how y'all felt.
It wasn't always a bad thing. There was that, but there was also the thing of even the small notes you told me. I remember one time jokingly, we was walking through in Dixie. I said, "What if I just because the lobster and the fish section, that stuff was just out." So I just casually said, "What if I just grabbed that and I casually walked off?" Mm-hmm. And normally I would assume a parent would have just like been like, "Yeah, you eat so fast," or like, "You run down," and I said, "Don't get caught," or like somehow entertain the idea. You didn't sit down. We was walking.
I let you play it all the way out.
In your head, you sat down. All right, let's play this out in your head. Where would you go after you get it? Well, I'd probably go outside. The cameras would catch you. Okay, then I'd wear a hoodie. The cameras will follow you to where the car you started, and you wouldn't let me entertain the idea. And at the time, I was upset because I thought that was just you like not letting me be playful. But now that I'm thinking about it, you really didn't want me to think of the mindset. Yeah, you wouldn't get away with it, so don't bother. Trying to do something like that. Mm-hmm. Another thing you did. One time we was walking, there was some squirrel, and I just wanted to go. Let's say, I wonder if I walked up, would I scare it, and how fast would it run? And I thought you were saying it to be annoying at the time, but now I know you said, why would you like scare one of God's creations? In that moment, I was just like upset. It's just a squirrel. It's nothing special. But now I got that instability. Yeah, there's no reason for me to bother animals is not bothering us, which is another reason I don't go out killing even like lizards or spiders that are just out in the wild. Unless it's inside the house, I'm not gonna kill the animal.
What would you have done? Because I always, because I'm military, I always try to look at a bunch of different scenarios. That's what I was trained to do.
I have that habit too.
If you were, because that's how we train you, to look at the bigger picture. Look at all the scenarios before you make a decision. Let's just say you walked up to the squirrel to go scare it, but the squirrel, because of thousands of reasons, the tree that the squirrel is in has its babies in it. So it now charges at you to scratch you and bite you to protect the tree. Where the witch goes, what are you going to do then? So you're running at the squirrel and the squirrel looks like it's about to leave, and then it leaps off the tree and now it's on you faster than you, scratches you, bites you. What would have been the plan then? You still scratched and bit up. Hollering. You'd have been hollering because squirrels ain't going back. You're just running all around your body. You can't even throw it off because they're so fast. They're on your back, on your head. All you can do is be scared, scream, and run. And that's if the squirrel doesn't have a disease that you now have to go to the hospital and get shots for. So when I was young, I did a lot of the stuff that you are thinking and wanting to do. And the lessons that I learned were bad. So when I'm saying certain stuff to you, it's because I already know it. But I figured because you're way smarter than I was, if I give you the whole scenario to play out, it won't even be interesting to you anymore. You know what? I could steal this fish, but all the extra stuff that's really about to come with this for the fish ain't even worth it. I could scare that squirrel. The squirrel's just going to take off. But if the squirrel don't take off and it attack me, I'm going to be looking like a whole sucker. So then generally, because of your mindset, you just throw some of that stuff out the window because it's not as entertaining as it you thought it would be initially.
As of now, those become like morals to me now. Like I have strong morals depending on like that small factor of something I just happened to hear my dad say. I can't even remember it. I had a good one, so I was gonna have to skip that. A good example of this is when you said how upset you were when we did put on the boxing gloves. Granted, I was able to talk you out of it, but I still went the rest of the day. Like I made my dad so upset. He thought the best case scenario was to fight me, and the reason for this, because I probably should have context. The reason for this was because day of, I just happened. Mom was gone, so I hated the job of having to remind Dad we needed dog food, because dog food was like $60, and there's always such like a upset look on his face. You know, we gotta spend another $60 a week. So I never liked the job of it. So I always try to like hold it off and let Tati do it. Tati's younger, she won't make him upset. Even if so, Tati will laugh at it and she'll get away with it. I laugh at it, it'll be a lecture. So I said I just let Tati do it, which is, I'll be honest, it's still something I do. Whenever it's like Sunday, I'd rather let Tati do it. When it's Tati doing it, it's whatever. But when I did it, we was out of food that day. So I said, okay, I don't want the dogs to starve. I guess I just go in the fridge. We had some bologna nobody was eating. I just put like 3 straps for the dogs, one there, and they had that. And that's why they normally scratching back there, because they're always so upset. They had that bologna, and I thought my job was done. So I went ahead and I left, and I thought that was the end of the day. I walked home, and you called me upstairs. I remember you said, hey, did the dogs eat today? They've been restless all day. And again,
But it wasn't just the dogs. It was the dogs. And it was also, I got a call from your school about your behavior and you laughing and joking and being disruptive and your grades.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought it was at the time. I thought it was the grades. But you said, okay, so what was the dogs eat today? I said, ooh. Yeah, they ate today. They ate today, you know, something like, you know, we were, you know, had some low dog food, but it was enough. He said, all right, we'll go ahead and give them some more, because I'm pretty sure they're still restless. Mm-hmm. So I went downstairs. I knew we ain't had no dog food. I don't even know why I pretended to look. I looked in there. We still ain't got no dog food. I was like 3 pebbles at the bottom. I checked the backup. There's none in the backup. So I just gave them some more bologna. They chewing on something. Surely they'll throw them off. I'll call it a day. Mm-hmm. Then we went to Winn-Dixie. And I tried to casually throw it in there. I said casually, hey, so we might want to get some dog food.
I'm remembering it now. You're telling the story too.
We want to get some dog food because we're low on it at the moment. And he was like, oh, we need to get the dog food. You fed them, right? About that. It was low, but, you know, they ate today. And then Tati, because I forgot how thing was set up. I'm pretty sure Tati was supposed to feed the dogs. And then you asked me to do it again. Or maybe it was vice versa. It don't matter. Either way, I was supposed to tell you.
No, I told Tati to do something with the dogs or go ahead and give them some more food. And then Tati said, there is no more food. So I think between Tati saying there's no more food, but you saying you're feeding them food, I realized something's not right.
Right. So when we was walking and you said, okay, so does that mean the dogs had no food? No. I said, no, they definitely have food. And then he looked at Tati. He said, Tati, the dogs have food. And I mean, now I can look back at it and I can laugh now. I thought in my head, and I said, Tati, look. I ain't say that loud. I thought in my head, if Tati just says yes, then we get the dog food, and then we'll just continue on with the week. And I looked at Tati, and I was hoping she would say it. Sure enough, she threw me under the bus. She said, no, the dogs did not have no dog food. Now, I didn't know. I know now that you asked Tati ahead of time was there dog food, and Tati almost got in trouble because you tried to lie on my behalf, which I didn't know at the time. At the time, I thought Tati was just throwing me under the bus to get me in trouble, and I was mad at her for that.
No, she lied for you enough times that I pulled the truth up out of her, and I told her not to say anything to you because I was going to see if you was going to lie too. But Tati lied for you enough where she was going to get a spanking along with you.
So when I said, Tati, yeah, we got dog food, right? She said, no, we ain't had no dog food. And she said it so fast, I swear I was getting betrayed. And I said it and then I looked back at you and said, okay. And you didn't even say nothing about it. You just continued on. And I said, you know what? I guarantee you, when we head back in the car, we're going to hear about this. You was silent. You asked me to grab nothing. I just grabbed stuff automatic, assuming it would help my case. No, I put a little extra $5 in the register just to help with the groceries. I didn't have extra $5. I gave it from you. Got back to the car. Sure enough, we did talk about it. We talked about, look, this didn't happen. I didn't want to bother you about it. And it was an empty thing that we didn't look at for maybe another 2 days. But between that time, I didn't play my PS4 because I was nervous of what reaction you would have if you hear my PS4 starting up. So within the time that you said it, we had the boxing gloves, grandparents talked you out of it, and then I had Then you had the thing where you had me put on
breakdown
my
afterward.
right. Then you had the time where you had me putting the military out for him, and since Boston gloves wasn't any more of an option due to a higher power, you just had me like do more physical labor on the house in my JRTC outfit, whether that was convenient or not. When I told at the time, mom didn't answer the first time, so grandpa was my first bet. Then I went back to mom, that didn't work. I talked to Nani and not Nani. I tried Auntie Tisha, Uncle Coy. They also tried to help with it. Said, yeah, lying was a bad thing. You got to talk to your mom. Don't do it again. They gave me a lesson about it. The next time they came over here, they checked on me and said, hey, you all right? Yeah, I didn't tell them it didn't happen. Yeah, I'm all right. She passed me a powdered donut and just kept walking. I said, I love my auntie so much.
Auntie, which auntie? Auntie, which one?
Auntie Tisha.
Yeah, the same one y'all heard from the other episode, Auntie Tisha. But she's in the kids' lives trying to save their life.
So that was the thing, and that is still a moral to me that I still hold, even to random people. I don't lie anymore. Since that day, I have not told a lie. I'm not gonna say stretch the truth. That still sounds bad. I'm not gonna stretch the truth. If something happens that I don't want to say, I'll at least say I plead the fifth. I won't answer. I'll answer the question with a question, or give them a side by answer. But I do not tell a lie anymore. Yeah. I haven't done it since that. When was that?
It was.
I had to be
years. But I don't think, unless there's something I don't know, I don't think you have lied before then either. I think when this happened, I was more so frustrated because that was already happening, plus the school stuff was happening, plus your behavior. It was just like you were just bucking the system. You weren't doing, or you were coming down late to get ready for school, so Tati was always complaining at the dogs. You was in your own little zone. I was he's just being defiant. But it wasn't until you finally said it that you just really miss mom. And so your brain is just all over the place because your sister also had a breakdown like that also because she was really missing mom. It was bad. So both of y'all were going through your separation from mom during that time, and I was too. And so that's why I started making sure to take you guys out more or try to be more emotional so that I could fill the gap where mom couldn't be. So I couldn't just be dad. I had to be dad and mom for a little while because I also had to pay attention to you guys' emotions and your inner feelings for what was going on during that time. That's why I was so surprised when we was at Daytona Beach and mom and Tati went to go swimming and you stayed in the hotel room. It's Dad, can we just sit down and talk? Yeah, okay. They was talking about how he was feeling about school and stuff like that. And I was like, man, okay. Some stuff is still going on or they're still struggling, but now they are feeling more easier, I guess, to talk to me about this stuff because I figured that stuff is usually set for the wives. The wives are supposed to know all these intricate, emotional, different things, and dads are just supposed to deal with the other stuff. And then when we went for that long walk, and he was telling me about all the stuff he was telling me and how much you appreciated the different things that you did, there's just a throwback to my dad because my dad is like that. There's people that's outside the family that will come and talk to dad and want to be close to him and get his opinion on things from religion to parenting to fatherhood to being a good husband, all of these type of things. They come to dad for all of that kind of stuff. Man, Tiki, man, this was fun. How you feel for your first podcast?
I feel like this went longer than I initially planned. I thought I'd have a headache over 30 minutes.
Why would you think you have a headache?
Because I normally get a headache when I get emotional. It's a normal thing.
I'm glad. So you're not emotional now, are you? Or did you feel like you was about to be emotional?
No. If you was emotional, I would have got emotional.
It's a good thing I didn't get emotional.
Because I did see your eyes get a little wet most of the time, especially during my story of talking to the police.
No, because I understand my dad more now than I did when I was your age. So because you're more open than I was at your age about our relationship, I'm able to change things in real time. When I was your age and it was me and my dad, I was just hard-headed. I didn't want to talk about my feelings. I didn't want to hear what his feelings were, even though my dad always told me what his feelings were. I just didn't want to be engaged in that. It felt weird. No, I'm not. Whatever, Dad. Yes, I'm sorry. And I tried to fix it, but it wasn't until later that I really started trying to really make a change. I wanted to be the son that my father expects me to be. But I had to do it later on. You've done it so sooner and so much earlier that I'm able to see the things that I was changing for my dad. I'm able to see it faster in you and I can understand you better because of my relationship with my dad. And we didn't have a bad relationship. We had a bad few years because I was like in my teens and I was out moving around in the world, but my dad still tried to keep me like in restriction. And I was like, man, I'm not trying to do all of this. Dad's really doing the most. And the other thing too that's very important, friends that I had at the time who didn't really have a father, they would always pick on me for being daddy's boy. Why you still call your pops pops or still call your dad dad? Bro, you your own man. Why are you doing what your dad says? And then somewhere along the line, I started questioning, why am I doing what my dad says? Like, I'm grown, but I'm at home. I'm working, but I'm at home. Why can't my dad just let me be me? I got all these rules and restrictions. It wasn't until later on that I realized what those rules and restrictions were for. And then I left for college, and then I left for the military. And I was like, well, my dad was in the military too. And my dad raised his brothers that are underneath him. So then I started to see the world through my dad a little. And then when I had you, there was a lot of stuff that I needed to fix about myself, which will definitely be in another podcast, not this one. This one, I just want to share this time with my son.
That did raise like two things in my head. I'm trying so hard to remember the first one before I lose it. The first one was that gives me, I have definitely gotten like a lot of credibility for having a dad. A lot of people, I don't know. Stop. That's why I hate being black. Because when you mess up one word in your sentence, unless you repeat the entire sentence, you're not gonna get it.
Repeat it back. We crank it up.
When you had a dad, it was a very good thing. They always ask you when they try to make it like real general, do you have both your parents? And I'm like, yeah, I got both. And that would be like a rare thing. Not even like so much as now, this is not a rare thing, but it's still like really good for you. It's still like a good celebration if you had both your parents in high school. Mm-hmm. One, I had bragging rights to you because even when I showed you people off, you're like, that's your dad? That's your mom? Then why do you look like that? What did they go wrong with you? No, shut up. Mm-hmm. But no, it's bragging rights. I always had a good thing. You know, people always be happy that I had both my parents. And another question is, I wonder at what point, because you told me this before, I wonder at what point did it change to where having your parents were a flex? Because I've always wondered, like, generational stuff.
When it was...
Like, when racism is now funny, when, like, LGBTQ is, like, a normal thing. Like, at what point did generational stuff just get normal and we all just moved on with it?
It was... I'm sorry if y'all have heard that. I said we're shooting a podcast, we're shooting it, so sometimes there's interruptions. I would like to say, I took notice of it when those people who were making fun of it or laughing, when they ended up having like really bad problems, and they would come to my dad and my mom. Wait a minute. If having both my parents makes me like the Cosbys and I'm soft and them this, that, and the other thing, then why are you guys coming over to my house all the time to want to hang out? Why are you guys asking my parents about things about, you know, being a young person? What if all of y'all are coming to my parents for information? How is it that me having them is a bad thing? And that's when I was like, not that it's jealousy, but maybe they wish their parents were together. Or maybe they wish that the case may be. So I don't have to be embarrassed that everybody's calling us the Cosbys. I'm supposed to be proud of that. I can't help that my parents love each other and love us, and we get to do all of this fun stuff, and we're close-knit. That's not my fault. My parents raised us to be like that. So for me, that's when it was. When I realized that all these people that are making fun of me are also wanting to come and talk to my parents all the time. That's when I knew that it's okay for me to be happy and feel good that both my parents are together type situation.
Right.
Well, we're going to end this podcast off here. We definitely can hear more from Prince Parris, because as he grows older, he's going to want to talk about more things, and we're going to try to talk about it and share it with you. Thank you guys for coming to this episode of Family Talk, Conversations of the Mind. I'm your host, Mr. Family Gaming. My special guest, Trader Prince. And once again, this is dedicated to Lois River. Thank you for joining.